Welcome to the Chiro Business Mojo podcast, where we deconstruct the methods, marketing, and mindset of successful business people and chiropractors from around the world. And now your host, Dr. Richard Day. Yes, it's true. I am Dr. Richard Day, and this is the Chiro Business Mojo podcast. I'm really pumped up and excited today. I know I always say that, but I'm especially excited because our guest is Dr. Michelle Robin. This particular person was a mentor to both my wife and I, and has been for many years. In fact, my wife worked for her while she was in chiropractic school many years ago. We've kept in touch with Dr. Robin over the years and continue to learn a lot from her. She's a fantastic chiropractor and business person and an even more incredible human being. I know you're going to love this podcast. So without further ado, let's get to it. Today I've got a guest, Dr. Michelle Robin, who's an international speaker, best-selling author, radio host, and practicing chiropractor. She's the founder of Your Wellness Connection, one of the nation's most successful integrative healing centers, and she also consults with business and nonprofit organizations developing wellness programs. She's spoken on improving individual well-being, as well as creating a culture of wellness to a wide variety of companies, organizations, conferences, all across the USA and Canada. In addition, she hosts the podcast Small Changes, Big Shifts on iTunes. Welcome, Dr. Michelle Robin, and feel free to fill in any gaps in that bio.
Hey, Rich, thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it, and love sharing the chiropractic message.
Absolutely. Well, I want to start by asking you, what is one of your favorite success quotes?
Oh, gosh. One of my favorite all-time quotes, I'll actually read it here for you. It's from Gandhi. It's about your thoughts. Keep your thoughts positive because your thoughts become your words. Keep your words positive because your words become your behavior. Keep your behavior positive because your behavior becomes your habits. Keep your habits positive because your habits become your values. Keep your values positive because your values become your destiny. Gandhi. That's probably one of my top favorite quotes.
That is a great quote. You know, I think I may have heard that at some point in my life, but I can tell you that the older I get and the more I talk to other people, the more I realize that is true in everything, and it affects every avenue of our life. Maybe we don't realize it, but everything connects to everything else, and it's absolutely true. Those thoughts become actions, and actions become either success or failure, and it affects who we surround ourselves with and what our life becomes. So I love that quote.
Well, and I think it's important to think about the way you think about things. Like, you know what, we get to, I get to be a chiropractor. I get the privilege of guiding and encouraging people on their. Let me repeat that. I get the privilege and the. How do I want to say that? Sorry, Rich. I'm mixing two thoughts in my head. You know, I think it's a privilege to guide and encourage people on their journey with their most important asset, their health. And so as chiropractors, I think that we could take that for granted, and I don't take that for granted.
It's absolutely true. Let me shift. I want to ask you, what has been your biggest challenge or obstacle in life? What events led up to it, and how did you overcome it?
You know, I think the biggest obstacle for me has been the head trash. You know, the committee that continually is inputting whether it thinks you're good enough or who do you think you are. I call it the 5-letter F word, fraud, don't be a fraud. And so I would say my biggest challenge is getting my headspace right. And I remember hearing some of my early mentors talk about the headspace, and it's really so true. It's kind of like when you are in the groove and having a day and you've got a full day on the books, and then you have people rescheduling and shuffling around. And that could take you out of the game and out of the zone instead of saying, you know what, I'm just going to stay present and stay focused for each person who comes in instead of thinking about the numbers, thinking about the person in front of you. And it's also, I remember when I was 31 and I had a phenomenal practice. I was pretty much a solo doctor and started sabotaging my life. And I think it's because I didn't think I deserved it. And so I think it's really important to do your work. You know, everybody grows up with drama and trauma, some people more significant than others. And it's important that you heal your work. You can only grow your patients will only grow with you as far as you grow. And I remember Bill Epstead saying this years ago to my team. I brought him in to speak to my team, and he said, you know, patients leave doctors because they outgrow the doctor. And so you've got to be working on yourself.
It's absolutely true. And I've seen it in my practice as well. I want to ask you this, that internal self-dialogue, are there affirmations or things that you do daily that help to guide those and steer those in the direction you want?
I use a lot of quotes. Recently I turned 50 and I did a countdown, 50 quotes that inspired my first 50 years.
No way, 50? I don't believe it.
Yeah, 50 quotes that inspired my first 50 years. And so, I think about a James Parker quote, don't let the negative few affect the positive many. I have a constant self-talk, and I've done a lot of work on myself, and I'm going to tell you, I don't have it figured out. I have it more figured out than I did 25 years ago when I started practicing. So I think that you got to watch who you surround yourself with too, because they're either going to bring you up or bring you down.
Absolutely. I'm not sure the saying, I'm probably getting it wrong, but you're the sum of the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most.
Exactly. If you want to see who you're going to become, look at who you're hanging out with. Same philosophy.
So in your life, have you had an aha moment? And this can be in life or business.
I've had several. The one that's most on my mind lately is 3 years ago, I decided to right-size my life, and I really didn't know what that meant. I had a philosophy that was called simple and consistent. My life had gotten a little bit out of control from where I wanted to be in my vibration, and I remember having the philosophy, does it make my life more simple, and can I be consistent at it? So I had this philosophy with my team, simple and consistent. They said, do you want to do this? I said, does it make our life more simple? And they would say no. And I said, no, I don't want to do it then. And so in June of 2013, I decided I had a pivotal moment on a Saturday afternoon. I had seen patients that morning, and I tended to go out down and clean out our refrigerator so that, of course, it would be fresh for Monday morning. And somebody had spilled their green smoothie in the refrigerator and did not clean it up. It was about 2:00 on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. And I said, you know what, that's it. I'm kind of done. And I had grown from a solo practitioner to a team of, acupuncturists, massage therapists, chiropractors, functional medicine doctors, colonic person, reflexology. And I just said, you know what, this is not fun. I don't have any joy from this. And so at that moment, on that date, I believe it was around June 27, 2013, I said, look, I'm done employing people. And I didn't know what that really meant, but I just set this into motion to kind of right-size my life on all levels. And so that was a big aha moment for me, and I've not looked back.
So is it just you now as a solo practitioner, or are there still a few other doctors working with you?
Yeah, well, we still have the center. Oddly enough, we still have this great place called Your Wellness Connection. And, a lot of practitioners really want to be in charge of their own destiny. And so I found out that I had gotten a reputation of helping people build practices, because I cast a wide net. And so people would build a practice, whether it was a massage or chiropractic practice, and then they'd say, okay, I can go out on my own now. And so now they go out on their own and they stay in the same location at Your Wellness Connection. So they rent space from me, and whether they're a massage therapist or a chiropractor or a counselor, and so it's really nice. We have a sleep doc that works for us as well. I had a nurse practitioner. And so they just rent space, and we collaborate together for the greatest good of the people we get a chance to serve. And it has been so much fun. So it really helps me express my gifts at the same time without the stress of helping somebody build a practice. I still help them build. That's just innately who I am. But I'm not typically as worried about them leaving and going to rent space from someplace else.
Let me ask you this, in terms of your practice, what single sentence or phrase would best describe your approach or philosophy?
I'm extremely holistic, so a single sentence is that I believe the body is a lot like a checking account. You have debits and credits. And in that, you need to be putting debits and credits in. Let me restate that for you. So my philosophy, my undergrad's in accounting. I don't know if you know that, Rich. So my philosophy is kind of like a bank account. You have debits and credits. And if you're not putting credits in your health account every day to overcome the debits you're putting in, then you're going to go into health bankruptcy. And so I really believe that it's important to put a lot of credits in. But I also use a 4-quadrant approach. So 2 sentences, a 4-quadrant approach That's much like running a business: mechanical, chemical, energetical, psychological, spiritual. Like a business has operation, marketing, finance, and leadership. I believe you cannot run an effective business or an effective body skipping one of those areas.
I like that. It's such a clear way of explaining things, and I believe it's absolutely true in our modern society that we are, in effect, writing checks that our bodies can't cash, and it's having an effect across the board on our lives. I see it every day, and it sounds like you do too.
Yeah, people are just really overspending. They're overspending on their energy and on their mental well-being, and we're wondering why we're in this healthcare crisis we're in. And so it's time for people to take control in a positive way of this amazing gift that we're giving called the human body, mind, and spirit.
Well, I want to ask you, I want to touch base on something that you said. You said that you had some mentors in the past. Do you currently have a mentor?
I do currently have a mentor. I'm part of a mentoring group, actually, called the Hellsberg Entrepreneurial Mentoring Program. I'm in my 13th year with that group. And so do I actually have a formal mentoring relationship right now? No, but I have many mentors around me that I feel like pick up the phone and call any time. It's been an interesting couple of years. I've lost a couple of my long-term mentors. My first chiropractor, Dr. John Lakin, passed away at the end of 2015. And I sure am grateful for him because I would not be a chiropractor if it wasn't for him. And I just remember many of the gifts and lessons he taught me, as well as the late Dr. Richard Yenny, who I based my 4-quadrant approach off of what I learned from him when I got the chance to hang out with him.
I met him a few times. He was an incredible person, and what a wonderful person to have as a mentor.
Yes, he was just divine.
So can you name, I know there are a lot, but what's the most important thing a mentor has ever taught you?
Gosh, there's a lot. I'm not sure. I think the thing that comes up for me just here in the moment is to be true to yourself.
That's true. I find that I use the word authentic. We can be our authentic selves in every setting, especially with patients. Mm-hmm. I think that resonates in a way that a lot of times people try to put on a show, so to speak. And that authenticity, I think people can smell authentic and non-authentic a mile away, and it actually opens doors for us if we're true to our inner selves.
Yeah, and I think the world is so transparent these days, especially with how fast something can happen on social media. And so just get your insides to match your outsides, and that'll help when you tame your head trash.
So I want to shift here, and I want to talk a little bit about some of the successes you've had over the course of your career. I've always been struck by the fact that when we as chiropractors graduate, we all have the same piece of paper, but we don't always end up in the same place. Some of us become authors and public speakers as well as chiropractors. Others may specialize as a sports chiropractor. There's so many avenues, and it's one of the things that drew me to chiropractic to begin with. But can you talk about some of the things you've done to sort of separate yourself from the pack, so to speak?
Well, I think it goes back to being true to yourself, and everybody, know thyself is another great quote. And you got to find out what you're really good at. And, I have to tell you, I may not be the best technical chiropractor in the world, but I sure know how to love people up. And so you've got to tap into your gifts. And some people, I've got several colleagues who are amazing technicians, and they're still timid about loving people up. So how do you mix that? And I'm just now at practice, like I said, I've been practicing a little over 24 years, and really getting comfortable with the fact that, you know what, I'm not a major scientist. That's not how my brain works. I'm kind of more of that whole brain person, and I love relationships, even though I'm an introvert. And so I think listen to yourself and what you're really great at, and then surround yourself with people who can help fill the gaps. Like I actually work with four other chiropractors, and they really fill in some of the gaps that I'm not great at. And so we're able to dialogue and work together in the betterment of the patients. Where likewise, I've got a gift. I love being out in the community. I just feel a calling for it. It is my true calling. It's not a lot of effort for me. And, so I think it would be a big part, is to really figure out what you're good at and then find out how to surround yourself with that. So to answer your question, I think that sometimes we try to become somebody we're not, which goes back to our conversation of, authenticity. And it's taken me a long time to realize what Michelle Robin is good at.
I want to shift. I want to talk to you about your daily habits. What, if any, daily habits or routines do you have, whether in the morning or throughout the day, that help you be more successful?
Gosh, I've got a little bit of ADD, so anything consistent probably may not happen. But I'll tell you something that's probably helped my practice be successful. I'm a phone person. I like the phone. I know why I like the phone because I've done my healing work. And for 24 years, if you were a patient of mine in 1992, you got a birthday call in 2016 if I'd seen you within the last 3 or 4 years. And so I have consistently made birthday calls, and patients say to me still, I cannot believe as busy as your life is or as full as your life is. Words are powerful. I've got a very full life, and that sounds different than busy. Busy sounds stressful, and that you still make time. I had it happen last night. I was driving to the lake to have a couple-day break, and somebody said, I cannot believe you're taking time to call me again after all these years. And they said, but it means the world to me that you take time. And so I would say probably the number one thing I've done is I have called my patients after their first visit. I have called the person who's referred them. And I have called to wish people happy birthday. People have 4 letters on their forehead, MMFI, make me feel important. So how can we make people feel important from an authentic standpoint? And so without really wanting anything back from them. And like I said, even if I've not seen you for 3 years, I'm going to call you on your birthday if that is a habit and routine we've gotten into. If you've come to see me a couple times, we all have patients that come in and they're shopping and they don't get the big idea. It's just not their time. They're not ready. I may not call them, but so it doesn't mean I call every single person, but the ones that I feel connected with, I do call.
Now, was this something that was initially in your comfort zone, or did this take a little while for you to be comfortable doing it?
You know what? When you're 25 and you're kind of starving, it didn't take me long to get comfortable. But once again, I'm comfortable with the phone because of some of my past with the connection with my father. And so it wasn't hard for me. I've had 2 or 3 birthday calls that have gone south. That's not a bad odd in 24 years, bad odds. And so, I'll do them till the day I die. I can't see stopping. And we'll see where they go. But that's been a daily habit. And some days I'll be traveling, so I'll miss a day. But I usually catch up, and they'll say, somebody said to me this week, they said, you know what? I thought at the end of the day, I did not get my Dr. Robin call. And then I called the next day, and they said, oh, there you are. I was wondering where you were.
They were expecting it. Well, what a wonderful way to build long-term relationships. I love that.
Well, and they learn, and there's nothing, patients come in and they say, I saw this chiropractor for 5 years and I don't even remember their name. And I have to tell you, I do it because I care about them and I want them to be special. And it just magically happens to also build that name recognition and that connection. It's all about connection. How can I be more connected to you when you say, gosh, you know what, I've got a healthcare issue. Who do I call? And once again, it is a huge responsibility that we should not take lightly, that we give guidance to our clients.
Well, one of the ways you've been connecting is through a book, and maybe 2, if I'm getting it right, that you have books that you've authored. Can you tell us a little bit about those books and how those came to be?
Well, actually, today's the 6-year anniversary of my first book, called Wellness on a Shoestring, 7 Habits for a Healthy Life. And I had been tossing around the idea of a book, and then I met Charlotte Shelton, who was a new CEO of Unity Village. And Unity used to have a publishing company, and she was revamping it. She asked me if I would write a book about mind, body, spirit medicine. She knew that I kind of walked that talk. And so I said, sure. And of course, if you know me, English is not my first language. It's the only one I know, but it's definitely a struggle for me. And so, I hired a writer and wrote down some common ideas of things that I share with patients that I really think would transform people's health. Rest, rejuvenate, rest, reflect, rejuvenate, breathe, move, free your space from a mind, body, spirit. Goes back to that head trash and the body trash we put in. Go for the greens, and then get essential fatty acids and sunshine, and drink to your health with hydration. So that came about, and it's created a whole new love affair for me around education. So I have that book. I have a train the trainer model with it that we have several people trained to take it into different corporations, as well as then I have another big book. I call it a big book called The E Factor, Engage, Energize, Enrich, 3 Steps to Vibrant Health. And then I actually have 5 mini books, Rich, that talk about kind of, I call it wellness in a pocket, whether it's your pet health, your kids' health, or your own health, which I absolutely love. And I'd love to offer Engage a Wellness Lifestyle, the 2016 edition, the mini book, e-version to your listeners if you'd like.
Absolutely. We will put that on the show notes and links so that people can find that.
Great. So it's been a ton of fun.
So has that opened doors for you? It sounds like you are doing some corporate wellness talks and things of that nature. Is that something that you've had success with?
Yeah, it has opened some doors with, I've got several different corporate clients, some local, some regional, mostly still within the region of the Midwest. And it has definitely opened some doors as far as broadened my perspective of being a wellness chiropractor. I have a wellness certification through James Chestnut, and I love teaching. I absolutely love connecting the dots for people. And so it's opened up some wonderful doors for me over the last 5 years, 6 years.
I love Dr. Chestnut. His message is spot on, and he's such a brilliant guy, and gives us chiropractors so many tools to be able to back up what it is we do on a daily basis.
Yeah, he's a wonderful chiropractor, wonderful leader.
Well, I've got a few more questions for you. I want to talk to you a little bit about maybe chiropractic in general. What would you say is the number one challenge facing chiropractors today?
Oh, I would say that a lot of times people are thinking about what's in it for them instead of how can they give. And I think the laws of the universe is if you can go out there and help somebody else meet their needs, you will be taken care of. And so I think if we can really focus on what people really need versus just selling them a treatment plan based on different systems. And I think just getting out in the community, I think sometimes we get stuck behind us. We think we're going to build our practice via social media or a website. The best way you're going to build your practice and build your life is getting out in the community. Find things you love to do. If you love animals, go volunteer at the animal shelter. If you love music, be involved in the music industry or the arts industry. So I think that we need to get outside of our offices, off away from the computer, and get out in the community.
I couldn't agree more. Come from a position of service and do things that are authentic and resonate with you, and those connections are made. And those connections really don't cost anything in a form of advertisement, but they give back the most. Yeah,
I remember a lesson that I got from a Dr. Rick Husky back when I was still in school, and he said, and you got to show up. You got to go, you got to show up, you got to be active. And so he said, I went to the JCs for what I think he said maybe 2 years before he got one patient. And he just showed up in service and connection and love and intention. And now there's not a day that goes by that he doesn't have somebody from the JCs in his office. So it's got to be a long-term commitment. That's why I want you to find something you love to do and love to be around. It's not you're going to get patients. You're going because you're going to be also inspired to really be a better person. So you got to what they say, you got to show up. You got to shut up, show up, and suit up. Let's redo that. You got to suit up, show up, and shut up, and really listen and see how you can give back.
Well, what pieces of actionable? Let me do that again. Mm-hmm. Do you have some immediate action steps for either a new chiropractor or someone who is stuck in practice and is looking to take things to the next level?
Mind your mind. So there's so many podcasts like this great podcast right now. There's so many great podcasts just like the Chiro Business Mojo or the Small Changes, Big Shifts that people could be tuning into to really help their head trash. I listen to podcasts almost every single day of something to keep me inspired, to keep me thinking in the right direction, to try to quiet down my monkey mind and my head trash. So I think that's a great thing to do. I think also affirmations. I read from Joel. I'm a Joel Osteen fan, and I read from his I Declare book pretty much every day. And I believe that I'm destined for the life I'm having, and that helps me stay connected to doing the things I need to do. So I think that minding your head trash will be huge. Finding out what you love to do would be huge. And keep your life as simple as possible. I think what I've learned over the last few decades is, we spend so much time acquiring stuff and then we start to get rid of it. I just right-sized my whole life, as I told you 3 years ago, right-sized my business, sold my big house, which was a beautiful dream house. I wish I had it, not wish. I'm thinking that maybe I had it backwards. I had that in my 30s and 40s versus in my 50s and 60s when I had time to enjoy it. And so, my housekeeper and my lawn person, they all enjoyed my house much more than I did because they were there. I slept there basically. So I think just being mindful and have great experiences, that's more important than the stuff.
Well, as we finish up here, I want to ask you, what's the best way for people to contact you and to find out more about your business, your podcast, and books?
They can find out more about me on my websites. I have a practice website called yourwellnessconnection.com, yourwellnessconnection.com, and that's kind of my consortium of practitioners that have come together to do our work. And then I have my teaching website, which is drmichellerobin.com, and it has a link to my podcast, Small Changes, A Big Shift.
Well, thanks so much for your time today. As always, it is wonderful talking to you. You have so much insight and practical, useful advice. I can't thank you enough for being on the show.
Well, I'm honored to be in your life, and thank you for all the support. And I want to give a shout out to your beautiful wife, Dr. Haley, for bringing the kids over when I had my injury last year and sharing the love with me. It meant the world to me.
Thank you for listening to the Chiro Business Mojo podcast. For links to what was discussed in today's episode, check out the show notes at chirobusinessmojo.com. And be sure to jump on over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review if you liked what you heard. We'll see you next time.